Hello everyone and welcome to my knitting and crocheting podcast. My name is Anna. I'm also known as Anna Knitter and you can find me on my website annaknitter.com. There I sell opal yarns and hand-dyed yarns and my sock knitting patterns and several other patterns I'm offering you. Paid for patterns as well as patterns for free. So I recommend you to check this out. My last podcast is 3 weeks ago. I think it's 3, not 2 weeks. I'm originally a bi-weekly podcast, but so my show is a bi-weekly podcast. But I think this is the 3rd week. Today is Friday the 23rd and it is 11:15 and I'm coming right out of the shower, as you probably see, and took the advantage to podcast now because on the weekends it's always very busy. Today I will show you, or the segments of this show are finished objects, works in progress, shop info, my favorite comment, the German word of the day, my knit along group, and a few knitting questions. It's not Insta Knit Night this time. I again looked up other random questions I found online that could be interesting to answer, and I would invite you to answer them in the comment section down below. These are the segments, and we will start with finished objects. My finished and half finished objects for this episode today. The first finished object is a crochet shawl. Scarf. I'm sorry, it's a scarf. It's ridiculous how long it took me, but the advent knitting came and then I put aside everything else. This is a 2 meter long scarf. 2 meter, that means as long as a door is tall, or the height of a door. And I could block it even longer, but I decided not to do it because I don't want it to be lacy. First the yarn. The yarn I use is Sport Weight by Opal. Let me see, this is DK weight. This is Sport Weight. Okay, here is an example from an Opal Sport Weight. It is always a 150 gram ball and it has 420 meters. So you have the same yardage. So you have the same meterage, the same length, like fingering on 400 gram. On 100 gram. A fingering weight yarn has usually 100 gram and approximately 400 yards, 400 meter. And here you have 150 gram, but the same yardage. That means it's a little bit thicker. And I not even used up the second ball. This weighs 200 gram. I finished after 200 gram. I tried to add fringe, and then I added a few fringes and threw it in the washing machine, because you can wash opal in the washing machine. But I wasn't happy how loose they got. So I think someone recommended me to do some things. One suggestion was with the sewing machine. I have to go back to the video I talked about it. I don't know, I see so many videos and they all add fringe the same way. And I think I came to the conclusion that these people have never washed these items. Probably they may add fringe, gift the item, and then the recipient has to bother with it. So because this will be a donation for my Christian charity group, I don't know who will receive it, and I don't want the recipient to have work with this scarf. I'm sorry. So I didn't add the fringe. And I have to find a solution because I really like fringe on scarves. I used 200 gram, so I had 100 gram left, so it would be enough for fringe. And let me think. Is there something? Yeah, the stitch I used is the corner to corner stitch pattern, but it is worked in rows, not corner to corner. but the stitch you do is like the corner to corner stitch. I used the tutorial, I will link it down below. The tutorial is by Claudetta Crochet, and I'm pretty sure there are many tutorials out there. I'm not quite sure if Claudetta has this specific tutorial in English, but we will see. If I find it, I will link it down below. Did I write down which hook I used? Let me see. A 4.5mm hook. Yeah, and if you're interested in opal sport weight yarn, I have plenty left in my shop. I really like that opal is so versatile. I don't have this specific colorway in my shop, but you could use every colorway. And it's lovely to work with, and the big bonus, you can throw it in the washing machine. It's definitely soft, so you can wear it around your neck without any problem. And it's easy to care for, it's very fun to work with. I think in all the years I'm using opal yarn, and I use it very much, I think I had once a knot in a ball. So they have very high quality yarn. It holds up very nicely. I see it with my socks. I throw them in the washing machine every week and everything is fine. Yeah, this is my first finished object, and this is for Make and Pray. After the finished object section, I will talk a little bit about Make and Pray, because I received, oh my gosh, stunning donations. One big granny stripe blanket was among them, and I received sweaters and so on. You have to see these items. But this is my first finished object. And when I decided to work on it again, I really enjoyed it. I told you last time that I cancelled my Opal subscription just because it stressed me a little bit to receive 6 balls of yarn every 3 months. And now that I'm free of that, that's the interesting side of freedom again, to be free of something, although you would like to have it. And now I'm free, and so when I sit down to work on something or start something new, I don't think, oh, you have to work through this or that yarn first. No, I can now do what I want. If I have a project that I need other yarn for, that I have in my stash, I use this without feeling guilty not to use up the Opal subscription yarn, because, oh, you have to use it up because the next shipment will be here soon. It feels great. That's why I have a new cast on in the works in progress section. I think I wouldn't have cast on if I still had the subscription. I hope that was grammatically correct now. Okay, first finished object. My second finished object is a half finished object you see here. This is a pair, no, it's not a pair yet. It's my vanilla sock, or a vanilla sock, knit up in my newest colorway, the sock set. So it's the Lent sock set you see here. Wait, this is how my sock sets look like when you order them. You get a skein in this pretty little bag, and I add these 2 already caked minis for you. And with this set you can knit the sock. I don't know if the camera catches it, but I started with a pop of color, then I used the main colorway, the dark contrast purple, main colorway, and the lighter contrast color for the toe. And it's called Lent because the liturgical colors of Lent are purple, one day is rose, purple and lilac and so on. I love Lent. I love this season. The first day of Lent, Ash Wednesday, when I come to church and I see the church is completely differently decorated. So we don't decorate during Lent, so we don't have flower decoration and so on, which I think is sad. But when I see all the linens and so on swapped out, is it linens? You know, it's not a table, or these tablecloth like things all around the church, and everything is purple, and you know, okay, a very holy time started now. Oh, it's always amazing. Lent is my favorite season of the year. It is actually really my favorite season of the year with Easter. And that's why I wanted to make a Lent colorway. And I'm looking forward to knit the second one so I can wear the socks during Lent. This colorway is currently sold out already. But I will open a pre-order today because it was sold out within... One lady wrote me that she opened my newsletter 2 hours after I sent it and the skeins were gone already. So I will make it easier for you and open up a pre-order today. And then I will see how many of you want to buy and I dye the exact amount my audience need. Yeah, the Lent vanilla sock. I cast on 60 stitches. I used my sock knitting table and 2.5mm needles. This is the merino sock base, and I think I will offer it in the, here you see it very well, in the golden sparkle sock as well. So this is the hint for Easter, so to say. I really like this golden lurex on this dark blue. It's amazing. This is not in my shop because that's a contrast for another sock set. Here you see it's a pre-order as well. It was a pre-order, so this will ship next week. Here you see the two contrast colors, and that's the main skein. That was Baby It's Cold Outside. But when I dyed this on the golden lurex base, I was in awe. I think I should make this dark blue on golden a standard for my shop. I definitely want to make something out of this. But this is my half-finished object. Good. Now I want to show you the Make and Pray donations, and I have some B-roll footage for you. Maybe I will see if I insert it next to me blathering or if I lay it over. We will see. So the first things I have received, here's, I think it's called a shrug. You see me wearing it at the moment, hopefully. And this is made out of, I think it's cotton acrylic, and it is a not twisted yarn. I will show you an example. Because I received many as a donation for my Make and Pray crafters as well. This is called a bobble in German, and this is Cotton Kings, it's for example. And you have a gradient in here, but the yarn is not twisted. So that makes it possible for the makers of this yarn to swap out one of these 4 strands and add another color. And so they create a nice gradient. And then maybe after, I don't know, 50 meter, they add a second strand in that color or a different color. And you can see it here very well, how they create this gradient. I really love to work with these bobble, how we call them. It's so much fun. I have never knitted with these. I don't know if it's annoying to knit with not plied yarn, but crocheting is so much fun. It is so much fun, especially when you come to the point where the new color is added, so swapped out. Oh, this is so much fun. And I will show you, I'm working such a bobble in another color at the moment in my works in progress. I will show you. But this is the first donation I received. And now we come to the blanket. When I received this, she asked me before if it's okay if I send you a blanket. For sure. And I thought it's a throw or a lap blanket or a baby blanket. And this is a full-on, full-sized adult blanket out of the prettiest merino yarns. They feel very soft. And it is huge. It is huge and heavy. I love that. When I had this in my hand, I immediately thought, Anna, you have so many single skeins of loveliest merino yarn. Why not making it into a blanket? All the lovely yarns. And I probably will do that. So it's very nice. She has these same-sized sections and interrupts them with another colorway, and always a different color. And then she added the new section. I assume, I don't know, it's not a 20 gram mini. It looks like one section could be, is it 50 gram probably? Something in that range, I would assume. Not a 100 gram, definitely not. It's so lovely. This is a donation I would love to keep, but it's not for me. It's for a person in need of a woolly hug and prayer, because Make and Pray is a charity I founded. I love this blanket, and I have to make a blanket like that. I have to make it. It's so lovely. I love this. I have a granny strap blanket, but I like the idea of these big sections. It's amazing. I think I have to weigh it and see how much yarn I need, and then I pick out my single skeins, and I just started. After I finished the baby blanket, I started. This is a very, very generous donation, because only assuming how much this blanket must have cost the lady, and then the time worked into that, I definitely have to tell the priest I'm sending these items to. I want to make sure that he knows how valuable this is, and that I want him to give this to for example, a family also who suffers from something. Not like, oh, okay, you get this, so without thinking. I really want this to be in a home where it's very much appreciated, and such a big item would be great for not one person but several persons, for example. Maybe really a family that has difficulties, or maybe a married couple who is forcing against divorce or something. This is very, very generous. And now I come to another lady who I received the package today, and she announced that she will send something, and they look like straight from a boutique. I am so amazed by these items. Here is a beret, and I can only tell you how it is so soft. I have no idea what the fiber is. I will have to contact her to know what the fiber is, so that I can add a tag how to wash these. But I would say it feels like a mix of, I don't know, cashmere and camel also. And then here is a very nice hat. It's so soft and so wintry, woolly. I love it. It has a halo, if you can see it. Then here is, I'm not sure if it's the Sophie scarf or something in that range, but when I saw this, I immediately thought, again, oh, that's right up my alley. The colorway, the softness, it feels amazing. I think it's an animal fiber. It's extremely soft, and it's scar stitch, and I really like the shape. You have sort of a triangle here, and then it gets narrower towards the two sides. I'm also sure it's fun to knit. It is so pretty, and I like these pieces she sent, because they are all unicolored, so it's great to wear them. Now here's my favorite sweater I have ever seen. Again, all these colors are so perfect, right up my alley. Jesus really shows me, you can't keep this for yourself. Kiss it up that you can't have these items. I think I have to ask her which patterns and yarn she used, and I simply have to copy them. It's amazing. Again, ultra soft, and I assume it has a little bit silk or something, because it's so shiny. I don't know if the camera catches it. Very nice stitch definition. And yeah, I would say it's approximate. I think she wrote a 40-inch bust. Is that? I hope I don't say it wrong now. Amazing. And the last donation I received from the same lady is a burgundy pullover. also beautiful, also amazingly soft, and not too long. So I would say you could also wear it over your dress, which I would like. And I'm sure some of the ladies who will receive these donations would like to. Amazing. Wow. So I will have to wash them and pack everything and add the letter and the notes and so on, but I need to know which fiber content that is. So the first donation, I'm pretty sure it's merino yarn and the other one is cotton acrylic. I can feel that, but I'm not sure with these very pretty yarns if it's special care, so to say, in the washing machine. I have to find that out. I'm amazed by your generosity. It's great. It's really, I love Make and Pray. It's so much fun. Okay, that was Make and Pray and the donations I received. And yeah, before we come to my works in progress, I want to share the German word of the day with you, because last time I completely forgot it and I found the perfect German word of the day. I think only Germans have that, and I think it's the most German word you can come up with because you have not only the word, which is typically German, but also the mentality around this word is typically German. The German word of the day is Übergangsjacke. Übergangsjacke, which I could translate to transition jacket. Yeah? The Übergangsjacke is a jacket you need for this season we are now in the Northern Hemisphere. It's not very cold, but it's not very warm. It rains a little bit, so you need something that protects you against rain and wind, but you wouldn't use a very woolly, thick coat for that season, but also not a jeans jacket or something, or a blazer. You need something in between for this transition from one season to the other. And this transition, Übergang, is the Übergangsjacke. Jacke is jacket. It looks pretty much the same, these words. And this is so German. I have never heard this word in Austria, the word Übergangsjacke, and I lived there for 11 years. I never encountered it with with people from other cultures. Probably you have that. Maybe you have that word. I'm sure you adapt to the different temperatures, but do you go to a shopping center, to a mall, with the goal, I need to buy a transition jacket today, you know? And I don't think you do that. That is a German mothers do that. They buy transition jackets, Übergangsjacken for their children. I always had a Übergangsjacke for the Easter celebrations, for example. That's the transition jacket. You need that. If you're a German, you need a Übergangsjacke. That's funny. That's very funny. Okay. If you have something like that, or what do you think about that? I'm curious to know. Write it in the comments down below. Now we come to my works in progress. My first work in progress is my second sock of my St. Patrick's Day colorway I had in my shop. It's not in the shop anymore, I think. No. If the request is very big, I can dye some up because it's not March yet. So I think it's still suitable to knit this. I turned the heel and I am finished with the gusset. It's again only a vanilla sock because I always like to knit these yarns to show how they knit up for the shop in stockinette, so you can imagine how it looks. 2x2 ribbing, pop of color in the beginning, the other color is heel, and then the toe will be in this bright aqua again too. And it is the St. Patrick's Day sock set I used. But you saw this sock already last time if you watched my last episode, so I don't think I have to hold it in the camera for much longer. Vanilla sock, 2.5mm needles, 60 stitches. I'm using my sock knitting table. I'm using wooden symphony needles because they are my most favorite. They are slick but not too fast, and I prefer wooden needles over metal needles because the latter make my hands and my joints, is it the joint? Yeah, the joints hurt, so yeah. My first work in progress. My second work in progress is my scrappy scarf I showed you last time. I didn't add very much, but a little bit. I think 2 stripes. I talked about it in detail last time, that I'm knitting a lengthwise garter stitch scarf, and again I'm mid-row. This will be very long. I think it will be 2 meter long, and I want to knit it approximately 30 to 40 centimeters wide. And I am using scrap yarns and minis, and in between I'm using Drops Baby Merino White, 2 rows in garter of white, and then 4 rows in garter of one colorway. It's all merino yarn, and I added the green stripe, and now I started this, I don't know, what is it? Cream, ochre, I don't know. And I don't have to weave in any ends because I'm cutting the yarn after every row. And these will be my fringe. So I knot them together and then I have fringe. I definitely will cut them at the end to a length I am comfortable with. And it is such a fun knit. Let me see, I think it's a 3mm needle. Yeah, 3mm needle. I cast on 450 stitches. I'm sure 400 would have been enough too, but I like very long scarves. And yeah, the rest I explained already. But what I did, so it's not so much knitting. I think it was, yeah, 6 rows or so. But what I did was picking out the next colors and winding the minis. So I'll show you some of the next minis I will use. I wound. Here are 2. I'm trying not to use self-striping yarn because I would prefer to have a more solid look, if solid is the right word. So speckled yarn is great, or light gradient yarns. Yeah, and I try to spread out the warm and cold colors evenly across the scarf so it looks, is it cohesive? Yeah, I think so. And these are the colors I have knit yet so far. Yeah. And I didn't work on that so much because of my work in progress I will show you now. It's a new cast on. I told you last episode I really wanted to start a blanket. And I have a friend who is due in the beginning of August, and she will hopefully find out if she has a boy or a girl next month. So I thought, okay, I will trial and error different pattern ideas I have for the blanket, and I will wait to choose the colors until I know if it's a boy or a girl. But I couldn't hold myself back. And I know if it's a girl, so if it's a boy, you definitely know it's a boy. So it's not so easy to misinterpret what you see in the ultrasound. But if it's a girl, it could also be a boy. So early in the pregnancy. So what if she told me next month, it's a girl? I start a full-on rose pink blanket and a month later, oops, it's a boy. So, yeah, many doctors have misread the ultrasounds with girls so early in the pregnancy. So I decided to use a cake of these unplied yarns I received as a present, or as a donation and present. I asked her, can I share them with my Make and Break crafters because there's no way to work through them all on my own? And she said, yeah, absolutely, you can do it whatever you want. And I decided to use this cake. It has always another color and then white, another color and then white, and the sections are pretty much the same depth. Here you see white, red, white, green, white, blue, white, purple or lilac. And I worked already orange and yellow. So you see it's a great blanket for a boy or a girl. And here is what I have done so far. And I really like it. It will be approximately 70 centimeters wide without blocking and 80 centimeters long. So I think it's a good blanket for, it will be a summer baby, so it's cotton and acrylic, it's great. It will be a great blanket for the stroller or, you know, what else? I didn't want to make it too big. And what else? So in the beginning, the yellow is the start, and the beginning looks a little bit roughly, as you see. I will go over it at the end. I will add a border around that so it looks a bit prettier. Because of the chain start, I only created 4 rows of the treble clusters or double crochet clusters. With the white and the other colors, I come to 5 rows of clusters. Okay, so here I used more for the chain because, yeah, I hope that made sense. I could start crochet through and then end this, and so I would only have 2 ends to weave in, but because I think this cake is designed for triangulars or so, or crescent shaped, maybe it wouldn't be so noticeable, but I don't want to have, for example, if I had a little bit orange left and then the next row I start with orange and all of a sudden I have white and I finish the row with white. I want to have complete rows in one color. I don't want to see the change within the row. Do you understand that? And I hope that I made that clear. I'm not sure. So that's why you see ends hanging here, and I will weave them in at the end. But that doesn't disturb me because I don't mind weaving in ends. And the pattern is called the boxed stitch. It's very easy. I überlege. I think it's an English tutorial. So here is a close-up. One row is these clusters, and the second row is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, and so on. And in these chain 2 stitches spaces, you knit in the next round the double crochet clusters or triple crochet clusters. It's very easy, and what I like about it is that you create these straight lines. If you do the granny stripe pattern, it's more like this, you know? It's not even. It's also pretty, but I thought it would be nice to try something else. And I think the holes are similar. Maybe a little bit smaller than with the granny stripe blanket. Yeah, and this is so much fun. This is so much fun. I'm enjoying I'm enjoying working on it a lot. And I think after this is finished, I will make a blanket for myself, as I told you, with all these single skeins I have. I'm using a 4mm hook. And I can't tell you how many stitches I cast on because I made a little swatch. So I started a little bit and then I thought, okay, approximately I need, I don't know, X times more of these stitches, and then I'm winging these things. I'm not so crucial about that. And it worked out very well. Did I forget something? No, now we come to my favorite comment. The favorite comment of this episode, so from the last video, is by... I will put it on the screen because I don't want to butcher your name. She writes, "Dear Anna, I'm thrilled to have found you. When I searched tutorials on how to knit mitered squares, yours was simply the best to understand. After knitting 10 squares, I'm addicted, but my scrap sock yarn isn't very colorful, so I decided to make a pillow instead of a blanket this time. You are such an inspiration to me and many other people. I also love to knit socks and bake sourdough bread. My husband and I grew up in Switzerland, but have lived in the US for close to 50, I think, years. I was so happy to read that. Always when someone writes me, oh, your tutorial was so helpful, I'm so happy, and I'm thanking you that you share this experience with me, because I was dependent, or I still am sometimes, on video tutorials. And so often I come across videos that I'm too stupid for. And especially the mitered square blanket was something I was doing wrong in the beginning, and I couldn't figure out what am I... No, it's so simple. And these instructions are so simple, also in the written patterns. But I couldn't comprehend this when I was a beginner. And that's why I'm very happy that my tutorial is helping you, and that you decided to make a pillow cover, because I always think it's nice to adapt. So if you see, okay, it's fun, I was going to make a blanket, but now I see it's not going very well because of several reasons. Oh, I can do something else. So you don't frog it, you don't throw it in the corner and say, oh no, again a project I'm not content with. No, do something else with it. Be creative. I love that. It's a great approach to life in general. The knit along. So today we are still in February, and I haven't knit to the prompt I'm sharing with you now. So Anna's Knit Club is a knit along happening on Telegram, and everyone is invited there. It's a politics-free group. It's only about crocheting and knitting. Sometimes people also exchange about recipes or books they read. We have a thread for every topic, so if you're not interested in these things, you don't have to read them. And for February, the prompt is to make hearts. You can crochet them, stitch them, weave them, sew them. The heart can be the project itself, for example an ornament or a heart-shaped pillow, or it's only embellishment, like a duplicate stitch heart on a sock or something. So you can still enter, and every month I draw a winner from the thread of the monthly prompt. So you're welcome. The group is completely free. Telegram is a free app. It's very easy to navigate. And the last segment, the knitting questions. Okay, let's see. I only copy-pasted them, so I didn't think about them. Let's see. First question. Which rocks your boat? Charts or written instructions? Written instructions. Yeah, because my brain is so... I'm also bad at mathematics. I think I'm missing a wire in my head for these things. And when I'm knitting charts, there's always one thing I'm doing incorrectly. I'm repeating the charts incorrectly. It's always so stupid, and it always happens when I knit from charts, especially color work. So I prefer written instructions. But with color work, I know it's not really possible to do written instructions. So yeah, but with lace or so, I really prefer written instructions. Yeah. Would you be drawn to a book if it had a knitting-related plot? Yes, if the writing is good. So if the author says, oh, I definitely want to write about something with knitting, and then puts the story around, I think that's a bad approach and will be a very boring and bad written book. But if someone is a very good writer and has a good story on mind, and is a knitter too, and adds this to the story, I definitely will read it. Definitely. It's like conservative movies or books. I often don't like movies where the first premise is, we want to make a conservative movie. The story has to come first. The plot has to come first. And then you can transport your values or your ideas and so on in a very good story. But don't put the value first, because it will, by a big chance, be a badly written novel or made movie. Do knots in skeins bother you? No. Some ladies in the Opal subscription group always threw their hands up in the air. Oh, I had a knot. I'm not paying for that. That can happen. I mean, I would work with yarn every day. I hope you don't have knots in my hand-dyed yarns, but I experience it every now and then, and sometimes they can't influence that. And I had this during my knitting lifetime every now and then, and usually it doesn't bother me. You cut the yarn, attach it, and go on. It's not a big deal, in my opinion. I always think when these tiny things bother someone so much, it would be helpful to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. So put yourself in the shoe of the person who is producing that yarn, and think about how this problem could happen and what would be the alternative. To throw away a skein of yarn just because, for example, at the last 20 yards or so there is a knot. And maybe they don't even notice it because everything is done by machines nowadays. So no, it's not bothering me at all. How confident are you about making yarn substitutions? Very confident, because I think I have never knit a pattern with the yarn the pattern suggested. It's not a big deal. I wouldn't swap out the fiber content so much. For example, if something written for in animal fiber, I wouldn't knit it in a cotton fiber, because it could work. It depends on what the item is, but the fibers behave so differently, and in most cases the designer chose a fiber with a reason on mind, so I wouldn't be so generous substituting that. And I think I wouldn't be confident to substitute lace with chunky or something very crazy. But the normal substitutions, maybe, okay, the yardage is a little bit different, or I want to make it in DK and they made it in fingering or so. Yeah, I think that's not a problem. Do you seek out yarn stores when you travel? Yeah, not so much anymore. But back in the days, especially when I was still alone, I figure it's interesting now that since I'm married, I'm not so focused on these things anymore. But when I was alone, I loved to have souvenir yarns. So you have a nice memory piece. But yeah, I definitely have a look beforehand if there is a shop for yarn. Yeah, I think it's nice. And that was the last question and the last thing I wanted to share with you. And I'm wishing you a lovely Lent, so another 2 weeks or 1 week of Lent until we see each other again. Maybe you want to check out the pre-order of the Lent colorway if you like, or my free patterns on my website. And I'm looking forward to read from you in the comment section down below. And if you are interested in Make and Pray, you can see this on my website as well. The more details. Maybe you want to work on a Make and Pray project as well and pray with us and receive my Make and Pray newsletter with prayer suggestions and Christian playlists and so on, and ideas for patterns. And yeah, we will see each other in 2 weeks. Happy knitting. Bye bye.